Order.
Nope.
Monday, January 22nd, 2018 at 6:30. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Silent mistakes. Any public comments? No public comments. Meeting minutes for January 8th.
Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to motion to accept the meeting minutes from 1/8/18.
I'll second that.
A motion, a second. Any other discussion concerning the meeting minutes? I see none. Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
Abstain.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Okay. Executive session minutes?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to motion to table the executive session minutes for 1/8/18 due to the fact that I didn't have time to review the executive session minutes.
Okay.
If you need a second, I'll second that.
I will, yeah, I'll try to figure this out. Okay. Okay, we'll table till next meeting, and, did you get that, Holly?
Yep.
Okay, go into new business. Appointments and introductions. Mr. Tanzini?
Chief, if you'd do the honors.
Board, I would like to introduce our newest part-time officer, Nicholas Matarosian.
Hi.
Hi.
He's gonna be starting with us as of this month, and he's from Ocam originally, and I think he'll be a great addition.
Great. Well, welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
With respect to appointments, Mr. Chairman, you do have one application for the EDIC in your package. If that would be your pleasure to proceed with that. And just so you'll know, we did send, you may recall, the EDIC requires representatives from certain stakeholder groups.
Right.
And we have sent a letter to the Massachusetts Regional Opportunity Council
Mm-hmm.
to ask them to provide a letter of 3 names for your consideration. When we hear from them, we'll bring those to you. If they don't submit, then we have to go to the Department of Housing and Community Development for a name. And we'll continue to push this committee, as with our others out there, to try to secure more letters of interest.
Okay. Was, is this a one-year term?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I don't have the charge to the committee in front of me.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a term in there. Do you have it?
Grab it.
No, can you access it online for me?
This is doing updates.
Okay.
No, it's okay. We can, that's fine. We can, it's not crucial that we have to do it today, is it?
This is the only application we have so far, so I don't see the harm in tabling it. If that's your pleasure.
Okay, because it's a 5-member board, so they at least need 3 members to have a quorum.
I believe it's 7, if I remember correctly. So it will need 4 before it can commence, and it will need the board. Once the economic plan is done, that needs to be approved by the board,
Right.
submitted to DHCD as part of the certification process. And only upon certification can we then begin to do many of the other elements laid out in the statute.
Mr. Eaton's working that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I guess we'll table that. That one applicant. As far as the other openings of the boards that are opening right now, they're still advertised?
They are, and we'll try to push some fresh material out there within the week or so.
Okay. Do we have funds to put those in the paper, in the Gardner News, by chance? Or any type of other resource or avenue that we have to put those out?
We could sort something out. Why don't we start with getting a pricing? One of the challenges that we have with the news is even our display ads, they will often tell us have to be legal ads and then charge us at that higher rate. So let us try to sort something out in the next week or so.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Thank you. Do you have, anybody else have anything to add on that? Police station project update, chief?
Okay, provided a little packet for you. We started with the overview of the project. The project was passed in 2015, town ballot, town meeting. Town approved $975,000 for the project. Cost estimate came in for the project at $1,072,000.
Mm-hmm.
Offset of the project was to be paid out of the Nordsford gift account. Project delayed to town's lack of bond rating at the time. So the project is now, or was out by almost a year and a half. During that time, you had a presidential election. You might not like who got voted into office, but the economy is booming under him. And what happened is it was kind of a perfect storm where you had the economy booming, you had the recession under Obama. The laborers' unions weren't doing any apprenticeships, so you had lack of laborers. So the project finally went to bid in this August, 2017. Proposed contract for the bid came in at $2,133,200. Over budget by $1,061,200. We rescinded the bid and started the process to look to where we go from here.
Okay.
So there's an additional $1,158,200 that's needed for the project. What I am proposing and asking the board is that we move forward. We hire an OPM, which is an owner's project manager, because now the project is over $1.5 million. Owner's project manager can cost anywhere from 4 to 10%. It is a bid process that we would put out. You do not have to take the lowest bid. It is up to the town who we would select. Then the project would go back to bid in April. We would get hard numbers. The project would go on the town ballot for May 7th. We would have the figures with proposed to utilize the USDA fund as a funding source. If passes there, then it would move on to the town meeting on May 19th. If it's approved at the town meeting, then construction could start in June or July 2018.
Great. Well put, chief.
You can see packets in the packet. That is a picture of the booking room floor. The next picture is the entranceway to the back door into the station. Third picture is the nice white bucket on the floor in front of the new cell catching water. We also had the heating system fail 3 times last month. Alan Mayo, I believe, is putting in for is gonna put in for a new furnace,
He did, Chief.
just as a precaution.
Yep.
The front ramp had to be repaired, it's not gonna make it. Will not make it another year. The project has now just under $100,000 invested into it out of the Northford gift account. That's no cost to the town. I would ask that the selectmen allow me to move forward. I would rather have the town say no to this project than the selectmen.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could you outline the actual scope of the work that you're looking for to be done? Is this a complete overhaul of the entire building, or is there a specific?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Foots, it's,
I
you
wasn't here
weren't
for
a
the-
selectman at the time. So the project is a renovation addition. The project would triple the size of the current building, put a new roof on it, new siding, two-car sally port off the back, an additional cell. It's gonna increase the square footage to just over 4,000 square feet. It remodels, then what happens is, once the new construction is done, they move into the front of the building, the old part. They gut the old part and redo from the front all the way back with all drywall, electrical, and everything like that. One of the problems that came in with the bid was that, or the estimate, is we had an OPM come out and sit with us pro bono with the architect, and she indicated that she found that the electrical estimate was low and the IT security estimate was low. Because it's a police station, it's not normal construction.
Yeah.
It's gonna give ample space. When the station moved there in 1991 from above the laundromat in Baldwinville, it was a nice step up. But even at that time, it wasn't what we needed.
Right.
This project, even though it's addition renovation, this isn't a Band-Aid. This is at least a 25, 30-year fix. We're not gonna outgrow it. Unless you're gonna give me 8 more police officers in the next couple of years, we're gonna be,
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
well, we're gonna be well set in this building. Does that answer your question, Mr.
It
Foots?
does, however, one issue that I have, and you may be able to remedy this.
Yes.
Is, so this is a 25, 30-year solution. A lot of communities out there currently go to a DPW, fire department, and a police station all combined in one.
Correct. Yep.
Public safety department, if you will. And it seems now, currently, I'm not entirely sure of the DPW interior, but they could use a new place as well, as so couldn't the police department. And I know this is kind of at that urgent cusp where, since the roof is leaking, and I'm sure your men and the morale, just based off the building, is probably low due to that. However, the concern is that if we move forward with this with a 25-year permanent solution, we are locked into that, and there could have been a potential savings elsewhere to combine all these in one spot. However, on the other side, as we know in Templeton, if we deny projects now, it gets delayed further and further and further, and, you know, as we see with the school system. So the catch-22 that I see there is that we move forward with this and that we look back on it and say there was a savings issue that we could have explored. And has that been explored? Have you been in contact with other departments? Have we done the analysis?
Yeah, well, let me give you a little bit of insight and history to the town of Templeton. So, the town of Templeton has turned down 4
Excuse me.
public safety buildings, just in my 22-year career here. They've gone from just over $6 million down to $4 million, down to $2.5 million, where we sit again. The project, when I presented it to the town, I tried to get it for the bare basic needs so that it would pass the town, because everybody knows the town of Templeton.
Of course, yeah.
They want it as cheap as possible and virtually free if possible. So that's why we did the project the way it was. If I could cut something out of this project to get it into funding, I would, but there's nothing in there. There's no indoor firing range, there's no bowling alley, there's no indoor pool. It's offices and storage space, which we need desperately.
Of course.
I could take you through the station right now, and you'd be appalled. It's quite embarrassing to have people come to that station. I feel we have a lot of support still when I do my license to carries on Mondays and Wednesday nights. Everybody asks, when's your project gonna go? Everybody supports it. Do I know if it will pass? I don't. But you're talking a 40-year loan that Mr. Terenzini, if I remember correctly, we were looking somewhere around, what would that impact the tax rate?
Well, around 10 cents.
I was gonna say, wasn't it 8 to 10 cents?
It's minimal.
My only question was, you were talking about a second cell, so is that really needed after this one that's already in? I mean, I don't know, with
By
our
by
population.
state statute, the town of Templeton should have two
Two.
cells.
Actually, Chief, no disrespect, 3 because of the
three?
juveniles.
Oh,
Juveniles,
The
women,
juvenile,
Okay.
correct.
and then the domestic violence issue.
Yes, which we just went through our state certification off of the cell project that we did, the volunteer project, and we are certified to hold juveniles in that cell. And the state, when they were out, said that our project, the way it's designed, is gonna be ideal going forward because the adult cell would be utilized on this half, and then the female juvenile cell is on this half. It's perfectly separated. It has to be sight sound separated.
Right.
It's perfect setup.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Carter, do we have any analysis done on building a community public works building? Do we have any sort of relevant facts and doing this jointly?
I just want to make sure what we're talking about here. We're talking about a combined public safety, police, fire, emergency management.
I'm looking
or
at the
public works.
exploratory need for one. If there was an exploratory need where, you know, the fire department needs a new building or the DPW needs a new building, or if it's just a police department in and of itself. And if that has been done,
To the best of my knowledge, there's nothing in recent history that's looked at those kinds of combinations.
okay, so that we don't have anything of a cost benefit, because if we go out for 2 million, and this is no offense to you, chief, if we go out for 2 million and we can find that we could build a public works department and fit everybody in one building, and it comes out to say, I don't know, 10, 15 million, and that will last 30 years, 100 years, whatever it may be, I think it's probably more beneficial in a cost-saving perspective to build that. And also, the police department, where it sits now, is next to the school. And the school has no field currently. And I know that was a huge point of topic where there's no place for the children to play. Had we built a community department or a public works department, that land would now be free to be used by the school. So these are the things that I would respectfully, I'm leaning towards a no on this. Mainly due to the fact that there's been no analysis done on anything else. And that's not on you, that's on us, and that's on, you know, a lot of other functioning pieces. So that's my 2 cents on the issue. I would, if you want to defer this to next week, or the 2 weeks from then maybe we can do an analysis, see if there is a need, and revisit this in 2 weeks so that we have more information. But that's just where I sit.
You else have anything else to add?
Yeah, so I've got a question, and then I'll make a couple of comments too. So for the OPM, have you gotten any estimates of cost for the OPM?
Yeah.
Are they doing a fixed rate, or is it a percentage? of the
OPM
cost?
generally runs anywhere from 4 to 10% of the total project cost. So as the construction of the school has started, I've been in contact with both the construction company and the OPM of that site, which is Collier's International, as we all know, and said that this project quite possibly might be coming back to bid. Both those companies are seriously interested in bidding this project now, and they didn't bid it before.
So, you know, I mean, a public safety building that housed the police and the fire would be great and ideal. It would have to be more centrally located, because if we currently have 2 fire stations with relatively good response time, if we combined everybody to one, unless it's centrally located in the town, everybody will suffer for longer response times from both the fire as well as the police. Probably less from you guys because you're out and about all the time.
Do we know that for a fact, or is that just opinion?
What's that?
It's my opinion.
The response time?
My opinion,
Opinion.
because, you know, going from Templeton Center to Dudley Road is gonna take a whole lot less time than going from Baldwinville to Dudley Road. And again, so to get something centrally located, we're gonna have to acquire land. I don't believe we have any land unless we put the DPW somewhere else. So now you're gonna have to move that facility as well. So I just don't know that doing a combined station, even though that would be ideal, is really feasible in the foreseeable future. So I would certainly support this. I think, the plan that you've laid out, is reasonable. And again, the town did support renovating the current station. So as long as you think the station is well located, I would support it.
Okay, thank you. Julie?
That would be my only question too, is do you like the location? And there's not gonna be an issue with that large school going in there in the near future?
No, when Dr. Hemming was here, the prior superintendent, we spoke about the project extensively. And the school is actually thrilled that we're right next door.
You're right next door.
There is actually a door on the back side of the school that we can access with our key fob. We're gonna have key fobs to get in. So we worked very closely with it. The SRO can just walk right over to the elementary school now. And what better place to have your police department next to all your kids
Right.
and their safety?
Okay. I do have to say, I'll just make a comment that I did stop in for some paperwork today, and I was appalled at the condition of that building. It's unfortunate that we can't take $2 million and flatten what you have and start over. It's pretty bad. That building is pretty bad. I mean, people spoke of Scout Hall, and we're putting some efforts into Scout Hall, and it's a lot smaller project, I understand that. But the need is so still there for the police station. It was just very discouraging to walk in and say, oh my God, this is where we house our police. So I would support it. I have to support it at this point.
Okay. As far as I'm concerned, I think at the end of the day, looking at a new police station in Gardner and the 37+ millions of dollars it took to build that building, which really isn't that big. It's not pretty much just a postage stamp. Cam's idea of a joint public safety building, which I think we did have this conversation about a year ago. Trying to merge the fire and police together and have one director of public safety, but obviously the townsfolk really wanted a fire chief, and that's what they wanted, that's what they got. We're here to listen to them. But your building is deplorable, and you guys still get up every day and put the uniform on and do what they need to do to make sure that we're all safe and protected here in this community. So I definitely applaud your efforts, and I just keep moving forward with what you're doing. I'll take a motion at this time.
I would make a motion that we allow the chief to move forward with his proposed plan.
I have a motion of a second. Yes, Mr. Tenzine.
Mr. Chairman, and the chief's well aware of what I'm about to say. I understand Member Fort's suggestion. I think if you could wave a magic wand and have a centrally located piece of land and money were no object, having a combined public safety building would be terrific. And I understand the chief's dilemma. I do need, and we're not there just yet, that over the coming months, we're continuing to be talking to you about possibility of the local option meals tax, the struggle in covering the delta and the increased costs on the ALS, and this. And while we don't know exactly how this is going to work out over the next few weeks, I do need you to understand that if after the hiring of the OPM and the new numbers, you decide to go forward, you could conceivably be looking at the need to discuss with the community 3 money issues this year.
Right.
And it's a community which can take some time to cogitate upon one thoughtfully and carefully. And I do have some concern, the more number of money issues we have to have real conversations about. So we're not there yet, but I do need to ask you to keep that in your thinking going forward.
Understood. Thanks, Karen. All right, so I have the motion, and I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say that I'm not against this project, and as I said, that if, to defer this another 2 weeks to get the analysis done is really what I've been stressing. It's not that I'm against this, but if we haven't explored or looked at anything with any reasonable costing or anything other than opinion, or common sense facts, as we know that's sometimes not so common, I think that we may be missing out on something that we didn't look for or we didn't see. So once again, I'll make the plea, can we please defer this another 2 weeks and get some sort of analysis done in terms of need, in terms of what we're forecasting here for demand. And I know Carter has something to say.
Yes, Karen.
May I suggest, Mr. Chairman, that what I believe the chief's asking for you to do tonight is to authorize him, us, to issue a request for proposals for owners, project managers.
Right.
We'll get that pricing, and I think that's gonna take us a little bit to do. So you're not spending any dollars at this point.
Right.
At the same time, I will ask the chief, and I'll ask the fire chief, with Eric and my peers, we'll reach out and look at who has built or done major expansions of, whether it's police stations alone, fire stations alone, combined public safety buildings. We'll try to get a sense of what they were per square foot.
Okay. I know,
Try to put a little something together.
I would feel much
It
more
won't be,
comfortable
it won't
having
be
numbers.
real detailed,
Yep.
but it'll be very first broad brush, and we can bring you that at the same time.
Certainly.
To try to address Mr. Fort's concern.
and we have close neighbors. I mean, Rutland's one, Paxton's one, there's a lot.
Sterling just finished
Sterling,
one.
That's right.
So we'll reach out, between the chief associations and the managers associations, to try to get you some numbers.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Kim. Any other discussion?
Can I just a repeat of what the motion was?
To,
Allow the chief to move forward with his plan.
with this plan?
Okay. And I know he had made mention, his plan was to bring this to town meeting for a vote. So that's his plan, so,
Well, eventually,
okay.
once the project manager has been gone through and obviously the numbers and what it's gonna cost, what the OPM does, then obviously then it has to go back in front of the people, because the people only voted for the
Well, his
975,000.
His proposed plan, which is here, which would be his plan,
Mhm.
is late January, early February, hire an OPM for the project, first week of April, rebid on the project, May 7th, station project on town ballot with new figures and plan to utilize a USDA loan as the funding source, May
Mhm.
19th, town meeting for final approval should the station project pass. That's his plan, so if we
Mhm.
motion for a vote to accept his plan, that's what we're accepting.
Right.
Okay.
Is that what you want? Or just the OPM?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the chief's a smart guy. If he comes back and the bids are $5 million, he's probably not gonna put it on the ballot.
Well, you're gonna have interim checks, because we have to get your approval to execute the contract with the OPM. We'll have to get your approval of the ballot question, which will be due April 3rd. We have to get your approval of the warrant article. So there will be interim checks. Yes, we'll be following the chief's plan, but there are some interim steps along the way. So I think you should feel, I would hope you would feel comfortable that you can pull the reins back if you need to.
Does that sound,
Yeah, just needed that clarified.
okay, understood. Everybody else good? Any other comments? I see none. Cam?
I'm gonna abstain.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Good luck, chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Second quarter F-18 financial report.
Tonight, we
Yes.
do not have the accountant or the treasurer, but we do have Luann with us, so I just want to touch briefly
Okay.
upon the accountants. This is the financial report for the second quarter. Basically, we continue to work forward on reconciling of various accounts. Kelly's reported to you on some work with the Worcester Regional Retirement System. The expenditure trends, for the most part, are on track. wherever they are above what you would think of as the norm or the burn rate, the trending rate, whatever particular term you use for it. Kelly's given a nice little explanation of what that is, whether it's, you know, yes, we're above 50%, but we happen to pay insurance all in that quarter, or that kind of thing. Revenues are a touch under the 50% mark. They're at 44%, but remember, that's often affected by when we get the tax billings out, and those were not quite as early in December as we had hoped for. But all in all, they're in fairly decent shape. I'm not going to assume to speak to Luann. I'm going to let her do that.
Thanks.
Good, thank you.
In your packet, you do have my narrative for the dollar amounts that I did for the last quarter, so I'm just gonna touch on a few things. House values this year increased with my two families and my antique colonial seeing a substantial increase in their values. Properties are selling for asking above asking prices. So as always, we submitted our new values to the Department of Revenue, DLS, and they looked at everything with our supporting documents, and they approved the LA4 values in town. The tax classification was held with a single rate being voted, and the tax rate recap was submitted, and we got an approved tax rate of $16.72. That's up 60 cents from last year also. So the increase for the 60 cents on the tax rate was the school feasibility studies in 2009, and from 2013 to 15 were never put on the tax rate recap sheet. So this left a total of $486,000 that needed to be raised also this year in taxes. So consequently, this year, property owners not only saw an increase in our tax rate, they also saw an increase in their assessed values. Normally, it's one or the other, but this year, both things went up, so tax rates. So I've been a little busy in my office kind of explaining everything to people, and pretty much after you explain it all and show them, they're pretty much satisfied, so that's good for us. The third and fourth quarter actual tax bills were exported to the collector treasurer's office out of my office on December 11th, and tax bills unfortunately didn't get mailed from the billing company until the 23rd of December, which was Christmas weekend. Not a plan. We hoped they were going to go out first, before then, but because of the billing problems, they didn't get them out for 2 weeks.
So we sent our bills out during Christmas? Awesome.
They went out on the 23rd, yes.
Great.
Just a reminder, the residents' tax bills are due February 1st. Fourth quarter tax bills will be mailed the end of March, and they'll have a May 1st due date. I am accepting exemptions in my office, so that's for my senior citizens, my widows, my veterans, most of it's income and asset eligibility, but by all means, I'm reaching out to the public, stop in my office. I have picked up some new residents, and there are, relief out there, so just come in and apply. You can have till like the middle to the end of March to do that, so it still can go on this year's tax bills. To date, we've already given 182 exemptions totaling over $96,000 that have come off of people's tax bills. So we are pushing the exemptions, but it would be fine for other people to come in. Also on the tax bill this year is 1 trash lien, 1 electric, and 106 more sewer liens went on tax bills. The yearly billing went out for our solar farm. This is the second year of a 20-year agreement that they have with us. And in lieu of tax bills, we also send out the City of Gardner and Templeton Housing Authority tax bills. Those have all been mailed out to them too with February 1st due dates. Motor vehicles, I committed 3 more in the second quarter, and I was waiting for the first big commitment for 2018, and we did get notification Thursday. So today I spent processing over 7,500 bills, and they totaled over $850,000 in excise tax that will be mailed out to car owners next Monday with a February 27th due date. So they'll be getting those bills. So that'll be generating a little bit more revenue, which will help to push up that over 50%. My ATM articles and my FY budget's been submitted. And finally, the 4 steel file cabinets that were purchased in abstract deeds dating back to 1900 are now secured in my office. And we were able to purchase the cabinets for $5,000 less than what was that was approved on town meeting floor. So
Wow,
just want to thank the community and CPC for giving us that money.
that's awesome.
So that's my,
Luann, I know your voice is a little bit stretched, but speaking of the personal exemptions and opportunities for savings, could you please touch upon the work-off program?
oh, yes, we also have a senior worker program, and unfortunately, I only have 2 residents in town, excuse me, and the limit is you have to be 60 years or older. And it's, again, it's your assets and your income based, but by all means, people even can come out. You usually work up to 50 or 60 hours the whole year, and depending on what you can do, we try to place you. My board approves your applications, and I give it to Diana at Counseling on Aging, and she tries to find a placement for that. I mean, the 2 people that have worked in it have been in the program since it started, but unfortunately, I don't understand why more people don't even come in. Just stop in and see me and see if it's something you can do, because it is a good program, and you can get up to $500 off your taxes on it.
Wow,
So that is a nice program, and like you say, not too many people utilize it.
that's even more than veterans.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I don't bite. Like I say, all you have to do is bring in the paperwork. I mark it all down. I submit it to my board. They review it and approve it. You know, so, and, you know, it's a pretty easy process to do.
One of the things, right around the end of the second quarter, we may have drifted into the first of this year. With the audits now done, we're able to get our surplus overlay reserve
Oh.
certified. And while we wouldn't use it all, it is a good source for a modest amount of money towards that capital plan. So as we use what we had set aside already, potentially the meals tax, as the debt goes down, if we take what it's dropped and use that for capital, plus a small amount of the overlay annually, so you don't exhaust it all at once. I'm hopeful that we're gonna be able to have a bit more of a capital program this year, Doug. I'm probably 2-3 weeks away from knowing for sure, but I think it will be a bit of an improvement over last year. So if there are any questions on any of this report at all, Mr. Chairman, if we could get those within 2 weeks after you've had a chance to look it over,
Sure.
we'll get you some answers back at your following meeting.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I did notice one thing. There seems to be an issue with some of the accounts reconciling on the report. Could
We
you,
do, yes.
Kelly's not here to answer that.
We do, as you know, not only because it's best practice, which we started shortly after getting here, but also to satisfy DOR's concerns. And I did get a chance to see Mary Jane Handy at the MMA conference, and had a good, positive chat with her. We monthly go through the revenue and expense accounts. I catch anything that seems out of the norm, Kelly kicks that back to the departments, we get that adjusted. We then reconcile the cash books, that's coming along fairly well. We've got the tailings project that Eric's been working on, and we're got those from about 31,000 down to around 20 some, so that's clearing out. The biggest challenge that we have is we have not yet been able to reconcile on well, not even consistent. We haven't been able to reconcile with the sewer department.
Okay. And how long has that been going on?
Well, that's been a number of months since we've been able to do that. So I did have an opportunity to speak with Tom Jelinowski, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And he and I agreed that the best thing to do was to get everybody back in a room and take a fresh look at it. We're struggling with a bit of a scheduling date right now. I think we're trying for Wednesday afternoon. And the plan is to simply go through, okay, what are the challenges that you're seeing that are keeping you from getting this done? Let's talk about to what extent, if at all, using compatible software. They have a different software than we have, and if they were on the same software, at a minimum, it would make those liens a lot easier.
It'll be transcribed, like Vadar will
Yeah.
transcend.
Yep. And then we'll go through, and then what I want to do is identify all the issues first and then talk about fixes. So I'm hopeful that within 2 weeks, we can give to you a report of our action plan to try to make some progress on that.
Does that make sense? Is that what you
Yeah,
were
that answers
alluding
my
to?
question.
Okay.
We're gonna have Luann,
The finance
accountant.
team?
treasurer collector, superintendent, member of the sewer board, and their clerk here. And we're gonna try to hammer this out once and for all.
Great. Awesome. Just keep us posted on that, Mr. Tenzini.
Will do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything else to add?
Thank you, Luann.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Lou. Seaway building issues, kitchen equipment. Ms. Morrison, how are you? Well, if I can sleep a little bit, I'll let you know. 3 months at home is killing me. So first and foremost, this isn't a Spanish Inquisition. I just, people have been asking me questions, and I know you might not have all the answers, and I understand that, and if you don't, just say you don't know. What was that, the Oversight Building Board? Yeah, the Oversight Committee probably has a lot of these questions. Again, I just want to see what your knowledge is, and obviously, how we're gonna go forward with some of these, put a lot of this stuff to bed, so to speak, because I'm getting tired of hearing it, to be honest with you. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, should Doug recuse himself since this is revolving the COA?
He could if he wants, as long as we're not voting on anything.
No?
Nope.
So it's not unethical to participate in the discussion
Nope.
of the COA?
No, I don't see anything. Do you see anything, Carter?
I leave to each member their own ethics judgment.
I personally feel uncomfortable with it.
It's up to you, Doug.
Well, based on, as the chairman of the Senior Center Oversight Committee,
Mhm.
which a number of these questions probably should be addressed to, and with my conversation with the Ethics Commission indicated that it would be fine to be on the Oversight Committee, because the construction of the building has no direct impact on her position or her ability to do her position.
Excellent. Does that satisfy your need?
So there was no
No,
ethical
I still
conflict.
feel personally uncomfortable with it, but it's,
Okay. I got you. Thank you. That's been noted. Okay. You have no problems with that, with Mr. Morrison here, right?
No.
Okay. Not till you get home, right, Doug? You're in big trouble.
Comfortable with that.
So on day-to-day operations, the control of the building itself, who has control of the building, day-to-day operationally?
I do.
Okay. So anything that goes on around or in that building on day-to-day operationally, it's your responsibility?
Yes.
Okay. So obviously, last year, there was $100,000 appropriated for siding for the building. Again, I know, I just want to know what your piece is. I already know some of the stuff already, but again, the people don't know either. They're like, where's the siding on the building? I get, where's the siding on the building? I'm like, it's being worked. It's been a year. It's being worked. Well, it's been a year. They spent the money already. No, they didn't spend the money. It's appropriate, it's in an account, it's safe and secure, and it's for siding for the building. It's already been appropriate for that reason. It can't be spent for any other reason but the siding, right? Right, okay. So as far as what you know about the siding?
I have to defer that to somebody else.
So I'll
That's Chief Procurement Officer. Yes.
Yeah, I'll catch the grenade on that one. The town meeting appropriated the money at the annual town meeting in May. Generally, we start working on projects right after closing out the fiscal year, so July, August. We were provided with a set of outline specifications from the Building Site Oversight Committee, the Senior Center Building. I
Right.
forget exactly what the full name is. Doug will help me out here with that one. And with all due respect to the hardworking volunteers, they didn't comply with statute in any sense. So Alan stepped in, and we've got a architect we've been working with on some other projects who did a set of outline specs at a pretty reasonable I would say downright cheap rate. But in return for that pretty reasonable downright cheap rate, we also got a bunch of cut and pastes and not good copies and such. And I've gotten some concerns from Doug on that. Alan has some concerns on that, and frankly, that came to about early to mid-December. I'll take the hit on this one. Alan and I need to sit and close out what those specs are and get it out to bid. I think we can get that done on a schedule that works around the budget so that people know that they have spring work. But that one's on me.
Okay,
And Alan, in fairness to Alan,
what's this?
he's been sending me emails saying, when can we get together and do this?
That was the
So
renovations
it's
to
not on
Templeton
Alan,
Community
it's
Center.
on me.
That's what they went out and got.
Okay.
Where is he? I'm not throwing him under the bus. Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you so much for that, I appreciate it. And I know, it's not that, I know you made a comment that board not knowing. I think it's more so, it's not that they didn't know the statutes, in fact, that it's a learning curve. I think they just, yeah, I mean, obviously Templeton's now playing by the rules, and that's kind of a shocker for some departments, and we have to do everything right now. It's, I mean, the 40B stuff, the 30 stuff, I mean, we're being looked at by all levels now, so if we don't do it right the first time, we're gonna get caught either by the audit company or
Yeah,
by somebody.
like I said, it was a volunteer committee, they did a terrific job, but things like specifying one type of material,
Right.
you can't do that.
Right,
It's not in keeping with the statute, so we'll try to move this up in priority.
okay, I appreciate that, thank you, sir. I just wanna make sure that that's one of our huge capital assets in this town. It's one of the biggest buildings that we have here in town. And I wanna remain it to be a huge capital asset here, because we put a lot of hard work and sweat in that building, a lot of you folks did, and we wanna keep it for a long time. Okay, going on to, yes, something?
I just had a question on, is it now ready? Because they went out, they got someone to look at it, do the plans the way they needed to do it, put in the corrections of the roof, because it's a flat roof, so in order to put the siding, I mean, there's a lot of different things going on here. My question, and the question that I've been receiving from taxpayers is, when is this going out to bid, and when is this going to be done? That's the only question I've been asked on several occasions through the summer.
The specs,
I don't have any answer for people, so.
so I've been awaiting a boilerplate contract from town council. We'll fire that inquiry out back to them. I would say that the specs are about 90% cleaned up. The 10% is just, in some cases, we need to do some retyping, we need to clean up some copies. It's some pretty fourth, fifth, sixth generation copies.
Mm-hmm.
From such, and I think we can have it out to bid by the end of February, which would have bids in here 1st of April, which would be good time for somebody to get started.
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
And that'll be like a 30-day bid process, I would assume?
We expose it to the marketplace for about 3 weeks, and then assuming the bids come in reasonably decent shape, it takes us less than 2 weeks to turn it around.
Okay, super,
Great.
great. That's awesome, thank you. I gotta write notes, otherwise I'll forget, because that's what happens when you get older, I guess. Don't say anything in the back there. Did you know the occupancy permit for your building expired September 30th of 2017?
I am ashamed to admit that I did not notice that.
Don't be ashamed. Okay. I did have a conversation with the building inspector. He had a suggestion, which I pretty much told him don't do, because he had some intentions of potentially going back, and then doing an occupancy permit from 1 September to, I think, March or April or something like that. And I said, don't do that. I had a conversation with legal, and that would not be in the town's best interest, especially if something should go awry. The issue at hand with the occupancy permit, as you well know, I mean, it puts the town in a situation that's, if somebody got hurt or something, and the insurance company, which we all know is not gonna cover, then it comes out of the operating budget, which we cannot have anything more come out of the operating budget, because we're bare bones as it is. So my advice, Mr. Tenzini, is if you can get in touch with the building inspector and
It's
try to.
already been reissued, John.
It has?
Uh-huh.
Okay, great. And he didn't go back, did he?
What?
He didn't go back, did he?
You mean backdated?
Yeah, to September?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I have a copy here if you would like it.
No, I'll get a copy. Thank you, though. And he'd get it out to March? Or April?
Yes, March 1st. And, never mind.
It's okay, go ahead.
No.
Well, actually, that'll be keeping the pressure on, and when we go out to bid, I'll ask them to extend
Yes,
till after the bid open.
that's exactly what it is.
That's fine.
And
Thanks for keeping
That's
the
what
pressure on.
we need to
Yeah.
happen. We all have to work together here.
I should have reminded Alan that we needed that, and I just didn't.
It was an oversight. You have,
Oh,
shit,
fine.
I just cussed. You have stuff going on,
But
and we understand that.
It's not acceptable, and I will make sure it doesn't happen again.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
what are you gonna do in place to make sure that doesn't happen again?
You
Just
see
so
my
that we can all
calendar
be-
right here?
I do. Okay.
It's written in there.
Because I write
That's all I
things
need to
down,
know,
too.
just as long as you have something in place that will remind you in case there is an oversight of some sort.
Yeah, it's in there.
Thank you.
It'll be taken care of and reminded a couple weeks before the end of February.
Perfect, thank you.
Great.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Is it up to the department that issued it to monitor it?
Yeah, and that's a great question. That's being looked into as well.
No, it's not his responsibility.
There should be a tracking mechanism in place for any temporary permits that are out there, any permits that are out there that are electrical, plumbing, or building permits, as well as temporary occupancy permits. Because again, well, I didn't realize, being a selectman, they have, people know where you live, they know where you go shopping, they know I go to Cumbies all the time. I had to buy milk, like a gallon a day. So they ask me all these questions, and one of the questions they ask is, when's this happening, or what's going on with this, or what's happening, and there's just so much. And I told Mr. Hanks the same thing. I said, there's gotta be a tracking mechanism, unfortunately, an Excel spreadsheet, I don't care how you track it, but there's gotta be a tracking mechanism in your office as well. I know you worked there previously, so you know what I'm talking about. Because on a yearly thing, but again, it's a great tracking mechanism, though, to track all your projects throughout the year, so you can really do a fantastic report at the end of the year when you do your end-of-year report for the town.
Well, if your dog license expired, then the town would come after you.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah, because there has been a couple folks, two in particular, I can't say names, obviously, because in the meeting here, but both have rehabbed homes here in town. Both have moved some furniture into the property, and now both are being potentially fined for doing so, but yet we have our own town building that there was a lapse. And obviously, it's our building, it's our responsibility. I mean, we have to take care of our laundry before we start doing somebody else's. And that's pretty much what I told Mr. Hanks. But thank you so much.
Well, I just had one question on that, because in February, when the money was allotted
Mhm.
to do the siding, it was an agreement that the temporary occupancy was covering the months to get the ball rolling, correct? So they've had 4 extensions to this date. How many extensions do town buildings get? I mean, I honestly don't know.
Well, it's our fault since we haven't put the thing out to bid yet.
Because of the temporary, is there
This
a
office's
limit?
fault
I
that it
understand
hasn't been
that.
put out to bid yet.
I understand that, but I don't know how many,
Innumerable.
oh, okay,
As
thank you.
many as the building inspector is
Can
willing
is willing to put out there.
to extend, and it is, in his eyes, a matter of good faith to make sure that the pressure's kept on. I mean, he would regret, even today, having issued the first one. But having issued it and allowed occupancy, he simply wants to see progress. And with the hiring of the architect, frankly, if he'd thought to come in, or if we'd thought to go over and say, he would have issued an extension right then and there and said, when do you think you're going to bid? Alan and I probably would have told him December sometime, and he would have extended.
Okay.
So his ability to extend the temporary COs is virtually unlimited. And as I say, bound only by if there are great changes in life safety codes. Or he feels that the permit holder is not acting in good faith.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, great. The kitchen appliances that were donated from Otter River Sportsman's Club, they were donated to the COA, or was it donated to the Friends of the Elders?
Friends of the Templeton Elders.
And that came from, do you remember, at the Otter River Sportsman Club, do you remember who that was?
That donated them?
Yeah,
The specific person?
just by chance. If not, so that's okay, I'm
I
just curious.
wasn't the director at the time, so I have no idea.
Okay, but it definitely was a 501c3?
Yes.
Okay, great. And the location of that equipment, where?
It was traded in.
But where's it located right now?
The company that we made purchase the new appliances from, we traded it in, and we have a credit on the books now, so that when we have a grant for new equipment,
Mm-hmm.
and that's gonna count toward it. Because this was old, outdated equipment, and, you know.
Okay, all right. So basically, your plan is to use the equipment that was donated from Otter River Sportsman's Club to the 501c3, which is a private organization. And then you're gonna upgrade that equipment by donating the original equipment to get monies off of new equipment,
Yes,
done by the Friends of Templeton Elders, is that correct?
correct.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
Just for clarity, that hasn't happened yet, correct? So you still are in possession of the equipment?
No, it has been traded in.
It has been.
So it's
There's a
gone?
credit on the books in our name.
Okay. Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Carter, is there anything through procurement or anything along that lines, or even state assets that are supposed to go through a certain channel when you're trading in assets? Could Alan potentially trade in any truck he wants and get a,
I mean, would I have done it this way? No.
well, that's not what I'm asking, is it?
In other communities, all gifts have to be approved by the board, and then they become the property of the town.
Okay,
But that's not what happened here. The equipment was donated to the 501c3.
Yep.
So it's their property. They get to do whatever they want to do with it.
Mhm.
Now, there's a credit on the books. If equipment is to be purchased from that supplier, they will need to purchase that equipment
Right.
fully with their money,
Mhm.
so that there are no procurement issues whatsoever.
Mhm.
And I would suggest that when it comes upon the property, that there be a bill of sale, and that the title transfer at that point, as it crosses the threshold, from the 501c3 to the town. I think that's something that got missed on the first time around.
And I also missed something.
so
I
as
didn't
long
realize
as-
it was donated to you and not the COA.
Yeah, so as long as they,
That makes
so as
sense.
long as they finish that through.
And of course, I will come to the selectmen, and ask that we receive this gift. They have a grant for $15,000 to buy the equipment. It's not going to cover it all.
Right.
But it will cover all but,
Maybe we'll cover 75% of it.
yeah.
Okay.
No, I gotta give you credit, the research you're doing is great. Yes, Luann?
Can I ask you how much you got for the used equipment?
There was only one piece that was of any value. I don't remember what it was, and it was $250, I believe is what the credit is for.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
It was $200, and it was the stove that had any value.
Oh, okay.
Refrigerators were so old that they had no value.
But they took him anyways?
Did you have to pay to dispense them?
No,
Big refrigerator, oh,
because they're
good.
gonna make the purchase from them, they,
Well, and they're
Oh,
gonna,
right.
it's metal.
Just let them
They're
do that.
stainless steel, right? Stainless steel appliances?
yeah.
Right, so it's metal, so they probably got money from it anyways. And that's how it works. And as Carter said, I mean, once that transaction happens, because again, the issue that came to me initially was, once the property, 51C3 property, once it crosses the threshold of town building, if anything catastrophic happened to that building, actually it burnt down to the ground, you would have every right to come to us and say, hey, my stuff was in there and it's destroyed and it's worth $10,000, $12,000, $40,000. Well, unfortunately, the insurance company probably would not compensate you for that because there was no hold harmless agreement of equipment that was yours stored in the town building.
We've done that with the stuff that we have donated so far,
Great,
furniture and.
yes, because all that stuff, because I know, procurement's really tough, and one of the things that, one of my goals going into this year is I'm gonna hopefully try to get a couple volunteer students from the high school, and I wanna go to each department and, because we don't have a good handle on tangible pieces of assets that we have, equipment that we have, phones, desks, file cabinets, computers. We don't have that. There's no Templeton stickers on them that say this is Templeton number, blah, blah, blah. So I'm gonna be sitting down with Carter and we're gonna be going through some of that so we can all give all that stuff to capital planning. Because I think Mr. May said it best at one of his meetings, it all starts with capital planning. They're the ones that have our future insight and development in mind, especially the financial piece of the equipment and what needs to be, and how it needs to be disposed of and how it needs to be moved on, et cetera. So that's gonna be probably in the near future, but obviously we'll let the departments know. But that's all I have. Diane, thank you so much for coming. I really do appreciate it. I really do. Thank you so much. Anyone else have anything for Mrs.? No? You have anything? Thank you again. Thanks so much for coming. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Crow Hill track permit and common vic license. Where am I?
Sure, come on.
Who do I have?
This is Roseanne.
Hi. How are you?
That's new, so.
Yeah, it is. You can come have a seat, if you don't mind. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, don't be scared.
Well, we never did this.
I understand. Just state your name for the record, please.
Roseanne Marshall, Crow Hill Motorsports Park.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Great. No changes?
No changes, everything is in the file that's needed, and I even have the schedule, not on me, in the other room.
And, okay.
Yep, so everything should be all set.
But everything's all good with all the departments, correct?
Yep, new this year is a, common victualler permit that they hadn't had before, and I
Yeah.
wasn't aware they needed one until I had talked to Carter throughout the year. So we added that this year.
Okay. Are you selling stuff there as well? Is that what they're doing? Are they selling things?
Food, he's talking about.
The restaurant, they added $10 to the permit. You're talking about for the food, the
and, yeah,
restaurant.
serving the
Right.
food.
I went up to get all the permits for the food.
Oh,
And I
okay.
guess a new thing this year is an extra $10. I got a letter in the mail, and so I sent that in also.
That's great. I get those letters too. I think we all
don't know
do.
what it
Yeah,
is.
that's all we charge.
A mail tax thing, and it just,
I got you. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Crow Hill Motorsports?
Bix, worth 25.
Yeah,
Doug?
it should be.
I'm good.
I need to raise our prices.
Do you have something to add, Mr. Tenzini?
I'm afraid not. That-
Okay, you sure? Because you got that look on your face. All right, I'll,
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
Just
At this point, I'd like.
dollar signs for next year in my head, that's all.
Can't take him anywhere.
I would like to motion for a recreation track permit issued to Crow Hill Motorsports Park LLC, with Richard Marshall and Roseanne Marshall at 600 Kingfield Trail in Baldwinville, Mass. 01436 for a one-year period beginning January 1st, 2018 to December 31st, 2018.
Second.
Okay, a motion is second. Any other discussion?
Fee was paid, correct, or is this pending? This, 500?
No, they're already paid.
Okay.
Any other discussion? I see none. Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you so much, and enjoy your track.
Thank you.
His motion only included the
Need a motion on the
recreation
common
track,
vic,
so it has to
Mr.
go on
Chairman?
the other one.
Yep. Yep. Do the, can you do the motion for the common vic as well?
Oh, yeah. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for a common victualler license to be issued to, and bear with me for half a second here while I dig it back up. To Crow Hill Motorsports Park LLC, Richard Marshall and Roseanne Marshall, 600 King Philip Trail, Baldwinville, Mass. 01436, for a one-year period beginning January 1st, 2018 to December 31st, 2018.
Okay, a motion, have a second?
Second.
A motion, second, any other discussion? I see none. Kim?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. You have the originals in the office, Holly?
They're here.
Okay, great, thank you.
Oh, are you the attorney for the? Yes. Okay.
Where's the class 3 license?
It's not there because they can't have it.
Okay.
It's just the class 2.
Class 2 license, auto auction, recycling. Okay. State your name,
Good
sir.
evening. My name is Paul Giannetti. I'm an attorney in Hudson, and I represent the petitioner, Nationwide Auto Recycling, Inc., which is a business in Lancaster on Route 70. My client, Dan Warrella, is with me. They recently purchased Nationwide the property at 223 Baldwinville Road. We came before the planning board on December 12th of last year to get site plan approval, stormwater management approval, and a special permit to allow us to sell motor vehicles at the site under zoning. We're before you tonight looking for a Class 2 license to use the property. Property is being substantially changed in accordance with the site plan to accommodate the auto auctioning that takes place on the site, a large part of which is done by the internet. So we're before you looking for a license and hoping to be in business quickly and be a business in the town and work with the officials to grow our business and be a part of the business community.
Great. 223 Baldwinville Road, Holly, that's the new, that new area that's being renovated right now, I guess?
Referred to as the old chicken coop, right off Route 2.
I got you. The sheep farm, the old sheep farm.
That's what I always knew it as, was a chicken coop.
They have, Mr. Chairman, met all the requirements for the Class 2 license, with the provision of the required bonding and the explanation of how warranty repairs would be made.
And this is, like you said, just as a license to auction and sell. Okay. Somebody have any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Do you know why Kirk Machete recused himself from this?
I don't know why.
Do you have any record as to why?
He was doing the site work.
Oh, okay. That would make sense then. I just curious.
Oh, he's digging the property, oh, I see.
Yeah, he's doing the stump removal and the dozing and that.
Understood, okay. Makes sense. Any
Can
other
I
questions?
ask how large are your auto auctions gonna be?
Well, it's going to depend upon demand. Right now, my client has a facility in Lancaster, and because of all of the weather disasters we've had recently, number of cars being taken by the insurance companies and going to auction has greatly increased. So this side affords us a parcel of land. We'll be clearing about 20 or 30 acres, probably. It's 24 acres. And as demand calls for it, cars will be stored at that site and auctioned.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I can entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
I'd like to motion to accept the application of Auto Auctions and Recycling LLC for a special permit. Oh, no, that's the wrong motion. My apologies.
Yep.
Let me clear that out. I'd like to motion for the acceptance of a Class 2 license for auto auctions and recycling
see here, I don't have the full title. What is the full title of the business?
You have so many businesses.
Auto Auctions and Recycling LLC.
Okay, that is the correct one, okay.
That's on the
Yep.
plan, do you have that?
Yep,
Yeah.
no, actually, I do not have that.
No, we don't have the plan.
You want the official name?
I would like that, please. Thank you, sir.
License is not in the packet.
To Auto Auctions and Recycling LLC, located at 223 Baldwinville Road, Templeton, Mass.
Okay, have a motion, have a second?
Thank you, sir.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Any other further discussion?
I do have one question.
You do.
Yes.
Okay.
The recycling, auto auctions and recycling, you're not gonna be doing car crushing or dismantling or things like that?
No.
Okay,
I think that would be a different license, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be
exactly.
a Class 3 license,
Right,
and
that would be a
that's
different
not
license.
contemplated at present.
Right.
And just so the applicant's aware, we do not have any available under the town's bylaw.
That's correct. We're already over the,
The applicant is aware. Yeah, we've talked with Holly about that.
okay. All right, so I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Good question. I see none. Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
I'll abstain.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you much. Appreciate you coming in, sir.
Thank you, look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Chairman, if I may, thank you for finding a location in Templeton, too. It's greatly appreciated. We're always here for you to help you guys grow your business.
Well,
if
thank
ever
you very
need
much,
it.
we
So,
appreciate that.
Thank you.
We're looking to be a good corporate
Yeah.
citizen.
Hey, Dan, did you bring the other check? Did you bring the other check? Well, I wanna give you this one back because that was for with the class 2 and 3 together.
Okay. Did you get that
I
check?
hadn't mailed it, so, no, I didn't, but I'm sure
If
it's
you
on
did,
its
it's
way.
on its own.
Okay,
You'll get it.
all right,
All right,
all
thank you.
right.
The audience is dwindling down. This is great. Amendments to service agreement, Collins Center budget document. Mr. Tenzini?
Yeah, we've been working through, Collins did some work with us on the revenue side. Then they moved on to the financial management policies, which you adopted several months ago. They're now working with us on how to determine the best amount of money to be set aside in various reserve funds that are in question. And we're moving on to the actual budget document itself. Each department has a new template that they've been working on, establishing a mission statement, a little more citizen user friendly. The budget has tended to be spreadsheet, spreadsheet pages, and what we want to try to do is to get a little bit more of a consumer-friendly explanation of what it is that the department does, what kind of level of activity do they have, what's been their FTE counts, things that they want to propose to get done in the next year. So UMass came out, had that presentation 2 weeks ago maybe. Departments had a little bit of homework, they're coming back out Thursday? Thursday and next Wednesday, to make sure they're helping everybody get it on into the same kind of format, and we're hopeful to make it part of this year's budget. We may not make it in time for this year, but possibly. So this is not an increase in money, it's simply an extension of time as we've kind of picked our way through these various elements. And as you know, we've kind of been changing the priorities a little bit as we work through to meet the most immediate needs.
I was listening to, the governor and the A-governor on Friday, and I guess that they're still gonna push that grant process. I think
Yes.
they're still gonna continue with that, so will we need to reapply if we wanna do another one, or a community
we-
compact potentially for maybe specifically the technology in the building or technology
We
itself?
will, we've identified most immediately, actually, we have three. One is a potential mapping project that Eric and Luann and Lori Wida are going to be working on. The second is possibly a purchase order module. We've got Vadar coming out to give us an actual demonstration. I want to actually see this thing and make sure it'll do what we want. And the third is we have asked the Sewer Commission to entertain the possibility of Vadar talking with their supplier, because we might be able to get the state to pay for that conversion
Okay,
instead of sewer users. So we do have some projects in mind, and we hope to close in on those in the next couple of weeks.
great, okay, excellent. Okay, I can entertain a motion. And does this need to be signed by all of us?
By the chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to motion for the acceptance of the amendment to the service agreement with the Collins Center, to be signed by the chair.
I have a motion, I have a second?
Second,
I have a motion, second, any other discussion? See none, Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Policy regarding the Baldwinville Elementary School disposition.
That's simply a referral to workshop. Have you talked with everybody about Monday night? We were hoping for a special workshop this coming Monday night. You'll recall the 16th, we ended up using for the all boards meeting.
Right.
So we have several items. I know that Mr. Schwartz is working on the next draft of the selectmen's policies.
Yep.
We have.
Best draft ever.
Pardon?
I said it's the best draft yet.
The best draft ever, he said, so that must be
I
good.
thought I said next draft, but I'll go with that. We'd like to have this document. We have the suggestion from you, Mr. Chairman, for a policy on employee identification badges. And we would like to have a discussion with the board about the budget. A number of you have asked me to consider doing X or Y, and I'd like to see a little more coalescing of
Okay,
a group opinion before I catch the next grenade on my own.
all right, that's on the 29th?
That is the suggestion at 6:30, yes, sir.
Does anybody have any issues with that?
Mr. Chairman, if
Yes.
I can talk to the selectmen policies. There are a few items that I would like you guys to think about. One is how we structure the agenda.
Mhm.
And the other primary issue too, I'm just gonna dig this out, but I can't seem to find it. Oh, here we are. The other is the responsibilities of the select members.
Mhm.
That I think there's gonna be a discussion about exactly of, what does the chairman do, what does the vice chairman do, what does the clerk do,
Right,
in terms of our responsibilities and roles. So I think just as like a preliminary thought process over this week and the weekend, just think about that and how we should structure our agendas. And actually, one third thing there is how we follow Robert's Rules of Orders as well in terms of structure and how we engage in dialogue and discussion in a business meeting. So
Great.
Just to think about those, so that when we go to the workshop, we can be ready to discuss those and our ideas.
all right, have you sent the most current review to Holly yet?
No, so me and Carter are in the talks. We're gonna get together Wednesday. Well, we're not gonna get together. We're gonna do a phone conference, since I'll be far away at work.
Okay.
And then he's planning to head out Wednesday to go to New York. So we're gonna get together, or do a phone conference Wednesday sometime in the afternoon. I'll hammer out those revisions, cause I had a few questions about some of the changes that he wanted. They were more wording
Okay,
changes than anything,
understood.
not really impacting. So after that, I'll send that to Holly and she can distribute it along with the packet for Thursday, so you guys can all have an early look at it.
Okay, super, excellent. Anything else on the workshop? We good for the workshop on Monday?
Yeah. I think that should be
Okay. Do you have any issue with Monday? Okay, Monday it is. 29 January, 6:30? Okay, workshop. Any old business?
Oh, no, it's not under old business. Actually, yes, it is under old business, I guess.
What's that, Kim?
So I'd like to bring up the town website. I had talked to, at the trade show,
Bill Letsky?
Letsky, that's it. Okay, yes, I talked to Bill Letsky. Did you talk to Bill Letsky as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So I had talked to Bill Letsky and his tech team, or his tech guy, the guy that really does the data migration and things like that. So I had talked to him exactly how much of the role we can kind of give to them, and kind of the timeline and process that we're looking for. So, his response is we can draw the payment out over 3 years. I think I let you guys know that for the initial upgrade fee and that, and then it's roughly the same payment. I can get exact numbers and figures annually after that we pay similarly now. As far as the migration goes, he's saying that there is the functionalities that we can pass, say the COA has a webpage on there that we can give them admin rights to that to make their own changes and updates if we so choose to. There's a few other functionalities that are really, really useful. I think as we enter budget season, we need to seriously look at getting some of this monies in the budget so that we can change this along with the .gov and have this so that next year as we go, we can already have the monies set aside. And he also said that if we were to move on this quickly, or sooner rather than later, not quickly because we're town government, but if we were to move sooner rather than later, we could, he would defer the payment for us. So to July 1st, which is when we'd have the money appropriated for budgeting. So he said he would let us do that as well.
And that would go into our technology budget account, correct?
It would. Bill's, I had an opportunity to speak with him after Mr. Ford said. Bill's getting me the pricing this week, and what we talked about was needing to break some of my control freaks over here of, kind of keeping things a little close to the vest. When we move to the mobile platform, which is basically what we need to
Right.
do.
Right.
Using that as an opportunity to reset how we use it, who uses it, and does the kinds of things like Cameron
I
said.
smell a policy coming.
I smell it coming.
Is that what that was?
Another policy. Look at that.
Well,
It makes the
it-
world go
It
round.
doesn't need to be a written policy, but I will say that I've relaunched 4 of these now. And it is an opportunity to take a step back and really look at how you want to construct it, how you want to reflect the organization, and to spread the workload out a little bit, because we do have to find a way to keep it a little bit fresher, and that's very demanding. A lot of these folks are stretched pretty thin.
I know one of the key takeaways from that too is with the data migration, once we establish and set it up, that it should be fairly easy to maintain, because it's just additionally, it's very intuitive. I guess
Okay.
that would be the word, intuitive. So even somebody who's not particularly excellent with technology will still be able to navigate it and add and change.
Okay.
And not to mention there is the admin oversight, so people who do keep it close to the vest will be able to maintain it. Do whatever oversight they needed to do. So I was more than happy, and I think this is the right direction. I think you guys know I did explore other options, but they were just way out of our price range. I mean, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars versus,
What we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Makes sense.
So this is a different host than
Nope.
cities and schools?
no, this is
Towns?
virtual towns and schools. Same
But
same
same-
guys. Yep.
Same
Same
guys.
people,
Yep.
okay.
So that's what makes it easier with the conversion. They'll take it away for us. They'll host the trainings for us. They'll do all of that, and then there's a small implementation fee. I also did inquire too about we use what is it, My Town Government for the posting the meetings and things like that. I asked their data team if there was a functionality, and I say data team, it was one man, for their functionality that would allow us to take any of that information and just plug it in. He said that's something that we could definitely entertain because they have their own agenda listing and meetings calendar, which is very intuitive. Some of the websites that utilize it look fantastic. So he said that would be a discussion to talk to My Town Government, grab all that data, and he said they would be able to do it depending on how much it is, how many documents. The city of Boston would cost a fortune to do because they have so much.
Right.
Whereas the town of Templeton, it may be a little, it might be free, is what he said. And that's the key word on might.
That will be a challenge, because I will tell you that the town clerk and the major users of the My Town system really like the way that it timestamps everything out there in
Right.
public view, which the BTS does not tend to do. The big difference is that the product we have right now was developed for a PC platform. And in the years since they released this, much of the world has moved off of the tin can and flip phones to smartphones.
You know, you talk with a
And
string.
the mobile devices, tablets, will not read
Yeah.
hours
Right.
effectively, so we need to move to the new platform to keep up with people.
No, you're absolutely right.
One other benefit too, John, this might appeal to you. I know you were a big proponent of the ClearGov.
Yes.
VTS actually partners with them, so if we were to find this afterwards, this expires August 1st, 2018. If we were to enter these negotiations, they said that they would actually allow us, so there's like the basic, which is like free access, and then they'd give us the step above that, which is paid for, just by partnering with VTS, and they'd be able to embed that. As far as my town government, whatever we pay for that, there was also discussion that maybe they would be able to embed that onto the.
It's free. The simplest solution is gonna be to find a way to archive everything that you've got sitting on the virtual towns and schools site,
Mhm.
so people understand it. And then they jump to the My Town, because
Yes.
right now, it's not completely clear.
Well, there was talks of being able to embed that
Yeah.
onto the website, so we would be hosting the information from a third party, so almost like posting a YouTube video essentially on so you can just click it and view it or do whatever you needed to, which was another point of discussion.
Great. That was my next question. Did they have any video capabilities? that
Yes,
Steve
yes,
has
they
talked
did.
about
So,
once we get a live feed doing that.
The live feed, that is something that I'm certain it's there, because when it was talked about YouTube videos and things like that, which we utilize, it's as simple as just posting the URL link, and that it will automatically populate it, just with the video feed. With the live feed, I'm sure if you can host that sort of video player, then you'd be able to do real-time video playing as well, so.
I would think so.
Great. Okay, thank you, Cam, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other board, staff member comments and reports at this time? Yes, Mr. Tenzini.
I just wanna beat the drum for the camera.
Please.
From the all boards meeting. At the end, as everybody had gone around, I think the clearest challenge that most of the boards and commissions expressed was a need for more involvement, both in terms of memberships on the ranks of the committees, whether it's the capital committee that's missing, I think we have 2 seats open still, citizens at large. It's the Economic Development and Industrial Commission. It's, a seat that's opening up on the Board of Health. Whatever these are, we have an opportunity for citizens to participate both at the policy-making level and then with the kind of meeting that Eric's hosting Wednesday night, the second of our meetings, 6 p.m.?
6 p.m.
Here in this room on the meals tax. And so for anyone that's out there and has an interest in government, whether, as I say, it's the doing part or the listening and commenting part, reach out, let us know what your interests are, and we'll do our best to connect you with that opportunity.
Great. Great, excellent. Yes, Cam.
Mr. Chairman, you after me, you have her as well, but I just want to say that the things that I've heard about the meal tax out and about and around, very positive feedback, and I think that the whole proactive approach of getting out there and informing the public has been almost a first for Templeton, and I think the feedback has been excellent. The only comment I did get was that the truck posted on there for the DPW was an old 2000 GMC or something like that nobody would want to purchase. That was the only negative comment that I got. So whoever made that posted.
I guess, Eric, when you showed me the slides today, there you go, find a new truck.
And you had something, ma'am?
Yeah, I was just wondering, the limit of the number of committees a person can be on?
I don't think we have any rules
I
against
don't
that.
think there's any bylaw that distinguishes that, unless it's a specific bylaw saying a specific person, such as like a school committee member or a board of selectmen member, or, I don't think as far as citizens at large.
So a citizen could be on an at-large committee, 2 or 3?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't see any, I don't remember reading any bylaw concerning that.
I think we have a
There's
few
nothing
members
in the
that do
boards.
that.
I think any
Pardon?
volunteer we can
We
get.
have many that do that.
Yeah, we have some that do that, obviously, we'd love to have every seat filled with a unique person.
Mhm.
But there's nothing in your policies at this point about it either.
No, so,
So unless there's a conflict laid out in statute, can't be on the planning board and the ZBA.
right.
No, there's no limitation.
Okay, thank you.
So we're trying to push this out to the public as much as we can. I think the last count I had, I think there was 12 vacancies total within all the boards and commissions. I think there was 12, the
Can-
last count I had.
Is it
Yes.
possible to put this into the Garden News too?
Well, I just asked that today.
Oh, you
I
did?
did,
I'm sorry.
and I,
We need to entertain, we should put it in all our town buildings.
Or at least Facebook,
Put it-
reaches, you know,
Right,
everybody.
on the Facebook page or over at the
cost you anything.
COA's office, or,
Put
we
every
should,
notice that's on the website onto
Mhm.
Facebook.
Yeah,
You do.
and I shared
you
that on
do,
there.
so it's on the Facebook too.
Yeah, you can share them all over.
Yes.
Holly, shoot me a blurb and we can put it in March's newsletter.
Newsletter, that's right.
oh, that's a good thing, too. Yeah, that's a good
Mhm.
resource. It's a great resource. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board of staff comments and reports? I see none. Request for executive session per Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 21-3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining and litigation. If at any open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining and litigation positions of the public body, and the chair so declares. And we will be coming back, but not for a vote, just to close the regular scheduled meeting. Unless you have anything else to add, Mr. Tinsley.
No, sir.
Thank you all for coming.